What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, I know there's a lot of talk of what's next for undefeated, unified 3-belt WBC, WBA, IBF, welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, if not number 1, but definitely top 5 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Errol "The Truth" Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr., 28 wins, no loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, we know that the fight that everybody's anticipating seeing is Errol Spence versus his biggest rival, the biggest fight, in my opinion, in the sport of boxing, welterweight undisputed showdown between himself and undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be the number 1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence "Bud" Crawford. Terence Crawford, 38 wins, no loss, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, that fight is not going to happen right now because the budget is simply not there for Terence Crawford and Errol Spence to face off against one another right now this year. I know it's highly anticipated, but it's going to happen next year. So everybody's anticipating what's next, seeing as though Errol Spence unofficially announced he's not fighting this year because he announced that his fighter, undefeated lightweight star title contender Frank Martin, will be fighting December 17th against another lightweight title contender, Michelle Ali Rivera. So Frank Martin and Michelle Ali Rivera will be headlining their own card. That's going to be December 17th. So that all but ends the year for Errol Spence. Now, there was reports, I was told, that Errol Spence could possibly face off against former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith "one-time" Thurman, but that seems to be, not going to happen this year. That could still possibly happen next year. Keith Thurman, 30 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age. He'll be 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 69-inch arm reach. Okay. So with that said, it could possibly still be Keith Thurman, but there's talks that Errol Spence could be moving up. Shouts out to my brother Fred, Barbershop Conversation. He stated that, he believes, his sources is telling him that Errol Spence is moving up to 154. We have close sources, and so if his sources are telling him that, I have close sources telling me he's going to fight Keith Thurman, okay? If he's going to move up. Now, I know personally Errol Spence said that he's planning on spinning the block. Now, there's talks that Errol Spence could possibly move up to 154, junior middleweight division, take on WBC, junior middleweight, Mexican superstar title contender, Sebastian Fundora, the Taiwan Inferno. 20 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 13 wins by way of knockout. Sebastian Fundora is 24 years of age, 6'6", with an 80-inch arm reach, okay? Sebastian Fundora just fought a guy who was a common opponent of Errol Spence, Carlos Ocampo, which Sebastian Fundora won 12 rounds with Carlos Ocampo. Errol Spence, he stopped Carlos Ocampo in his fight. That was back in June of 2018, and Errol Spence stopped Carlos Ocampo in the first round. Okay, so there's talks of that. But Sebastian Fundora's manager, Samson Liskowicz, he said that there's a possibility, but he don't seem too interested in having Errol Spence fight Sebastian Fundora. Okay, now we know the World Boxing Council, better known as the WBC, President Mauricio Suleiman, board and 32 members, they have all but ordered Errol Spence to face off against Keith Thurman. Okay, they made Keith Thurman the number 1 mandatory challenger for for Errol Spence's WBC title. Okay, and so with that said, Errol Spence has stuck to he stood strong on his square, saying he'll never fight Keith Thurman after Keith Thurman gave him the runaround for years. Okay, Errol Spence won his first world title in May of 2017 when he beat former IBF welterweight world champion British superstar boxer Special K. Kell Brook via 11th round stoppage victory. Okay, and Keith Thurman, 2 months prior to that, March 4th of 2017, he unified against 2-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, in which, you know, he became the WBC WBA champion. They both were the PBC, Premier Boxing Champion, founder and advisor Al Heyman, and it only makes sense. The PBC has clearly been pushing for a fight between Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. They put up multiple polls just this year as to ask the fans and gauge the fans' interest in Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence fight. And, you know, with that said, you know, Errol Spence, he put the thumbs down on one poll, and the other one, he simply went on there and said the PBC, he added the PBC and said they need to take the L out of lover, meaning it's over, right? He's not fighting Keith Thurman. So with that said, you know, Keith Thurman is just simply not somebody Errol Spence has interest in fighting. But the WBC miraculously made Keith Thurman the #1 challenger for Errol Spence's WBC title, and the WBA mandatory challenger in the WBA regular champion and undefeated Lithuanian star boxer in Armanis Stanionis, who's 14 wins, no loss, and no draw, 9 wins by way of knockout. He is 28 years of age, 5'8" with a 68-inch arm reach. They have leapfrogged Sebastian Armanis Stanionis, and they leapfrogged also the IBF, International Boxing Federation, IBF mandatory challenger and welterweight superstar title contender in Jaron Boots Ennis. Jaron Boots Ennis is 29 wins, no loss, and no draw, 27 big wins by way of knockout. He is 25 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. They leapfrogged him and became the #1 for Keith Thurman. They're pushing Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has fought a total of 3 times since he beat Danny Garcia in 2017. In 6 years, Keith Thurman has fought 3 times. He came back, he fought Mario Barrios, who was a junior welterweight WBA regular champion, not WBC, WBA regular champion, and was knocked out, dropped 3 times and knocked out by a super featherweight, moved up 10 pounds. Now, he's not your average super featherweight and Gervonta Tank Davis superstar boxer, but he knocked Mario Barrios down 3 times and got 11th round stoppage victory over Mario Barrios, okay? And he come off a loss, moves up a whole weight class, 7 pounds, challenges Keith Thurman and hurts Keith Thurman, shows vulnerabilities in Keith Thurman, and yet they made that mandatory title eliminator. So it's abundantly clear they want to push for Errol Spence to fight Keith Thurman, right? Now, will Errol Spence move up, right? Because I saw a lot of people send me, you know, the video that Fred did, you know, and people are saying that Errol Spence is moving up to 154, and then Errol Spence is going to come back down to 147, okay? Possibly fight, you know, on a WBC mandatory title eliminator against Sebastian Fundora. If he beats him, come back down. As Errol Spence stated, he's going to spin the block, right? We see Errol Spence working out, training, and he said his next fight is not going to be a tune-up, right? But he also alluded to, he knows Terence Crawford is fighting December 10th against welterweight title contender David Avanesian. So he stated that after this, Terence Crawford is fighting a tune-up. He's going to fight a contender. You know, he's not fighting no tune-ups. And then he's going to spin the block, come back to Terence Crawford. Well, Errol Spence has all plans to become an undisputed at welterweight. So with that said, is Errol Spence going to go up to 154 and come back down to 47? I think that's a detriment to Errol Spence. If Errol Spence goes up to 154, I don't think, if he stated that he's been at 147 for 10 years, and he stated that it's becoming difficult to make the weight at 147, right? And he's been there for 10 years. I see no way possible that Errol Spence is going to go to 154, right? Allow his body to get, because once he goes to 154, his body is going to be relieved because, like you said, he's putting his body through strain. So he goes up to 154. Errol Spence coming back down to 147 is going to be a detriment to Errol Spence. I don't think that Errol Spence is going to go to 154 and then come back down. I can see him going to 154 and staying at 154. That means he's going to be waiting for Terence Crawford to fight at 154, and that means Errol Spence is never going to become undisputed at welterweight. So that's hence the reason why my sources tell me it's going to be Keith Thurman, right? And I believe it's going to be Keith Thurman. Although Errol Spence don't want the fight, I think he have enough to stay for Keith Thurman that he don't mind going in there and possibly stopping. As I believe he'll stop Keith Thurman. No disrespect to Keith Thurman, he's a good fighter. But I just think Keith Thurman's biggest weakness is his body, and Errol Spence's biggest strength is his body snatching. So I think that, the rubber's going to meet the road, right? I think it's a match made in heaven. But if Errol Spence was to go to 154, he's not coming back down to 147. Now, like I stated, Errol Spence should go look to possibly be franchised, right? That's what the franchise was put in place for, so that you didn't have to honor your mandatory. That's the whole reason the franchise belt was created, for 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez. And they gave it to Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko, right? That's what it was created for. So Errol Spence takes advantage of it. But now, the key thing is, do we look at Errol Spence if he is franchised? Because I know people said, well, Blue, you didn't look at none of the other champions if they franchised as undisputed or unified. Well, the thing is, the initial rules of the franchise belt was that you cannot win or lose the franchise belt. So if Errol Spence is the franchise champion, he's still essentially the WBC champion. He defends his WBC title, right, against Terence Crawford. But is he going to be acknowledged officially in the record books as undisputed? That's another thing. He won't be. Errol Spence won't be recognized as the undisputed champion if he's franchised, because they have changed the rules so much and they allowed other people to gain the WBC. They watered it down for their initial rules and the whole reason it was created. So with that said, I think that Errol Spence going up to 154, coming down to 47 is a detriment to his body. I think that Errol Spence becoming franchised won't acknowledge him as undisputed. So I think that the one route that makes the most sense is Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman. Defend his titles and then go ahead and fight Terence Crawford in 2023. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to Black Media Raw. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. And if you like this mask, go on Instagram to Rob the Billionaire. Rob the Millionaire on Instagram, right? And he makes these masks, man. Salute to my brother Rob for making this mask. So you can go on Instagram and you can check him out. He also made the mask you saw Deontay Wilder was wearing. Okay, he makes my mask as well, right? So you can go check out Rob the Millionaire Maker. His name is Rob the Millionaire Maker on Instagram. He makes the mask. Rob the Millionaire Maker. So check him out. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.